Get lost? You were never family. Jennifer snapped at her backyard celebration, the one I quietly paid for. Fine, then lose every penny I ever gave you, I shot back, before canceling the venue, cutting off their tuition, and shutting everything down. My name is Dennis, 34 years old, and for the past 6 years, I've been silently propping up my extended family's illusion of stability. It began with small gestures, covering a utility bill, funding a school outing, but it snowballed into me footing their rent, car insurance, my niece's private school tuition, and bailing them out of endless financial emergencies. I rarely saw my niece Jennifer except at her birthday parties, yet I kept paying. I'm not wealthy, just better at managing money than most of my relatives. When I landed a decent tech job in another state, I thought helping out was what family did. But there's a line between supporting someone and being exploited, and I crossed it without realizing. Last weekend, I flew back home believing it was for my mom's birthday celebration. That's what they told me. I paid for my flight, booked a modest Airbnb since my old room was now a storage space for crafts, and even bought Jennifer, my 16-year-old niece, a high-end purse she'd been flaunting on social media. She'd posted hints, and I saw them. She made sure I did, tagging me in stories about luxury nail polish, calling it her manifestation. I knew she was working me, but I told myself she was just a kid trying to belong. I wish I'd been right. When I arrived at the backyard party, balloons bobbing, music blaring, and a giant cake with pink frosting, the truth hit me like a slap. This wasn't my mom's party. It was a lavish bash to celebrate Jennifer's acceptance into an elite private art school, one I'd helped her get into by writing her recommendation letter and paying for her prep courses. A slideshow played on a massive screen by the pool, but my name was nowhere in it. Instead, I walked into a staged family spectacle. My brother Ethan, Jennifer's dad, stood at the center, drink in hand, boasting about their sacrifices for her success. His wife Sarah dabbed at fake tears, acting like she'd guided Jennifer every step of the way. No one had told me about this event. Before I could process it, someone shoved a drink in my hand and told me to pose for a photo. I forced the same grin I'd worn for years. At reunions I wasn't invited to, weddings I funded but barely attended. Ethan clapped my shoulder hard, like a warning. "Look who showed up," he said with a smirk. "Right on time for the big moment." Jennifer sauntered over, the purse I'd bought swinging from her arm like a trophy. In front of the family and some neighbors, she sized me up and said, "You're only here because you bankroll everything." A few people laughed. Others looked away, awkward. Ethan grinned and added, "He knows his place, right, Dennis?" Something inside me snapped. Not loudly, but completely. I sipped my drink, face blank, watching condensation slide down the glass until my hand steadied. The rest of the night blurred, clinking glasses, hollow hugs, empty compliments. No one asked about my life, my job, or where I was staying. I was a prop in a play I'd unknowingly funded. As the music pulsed and people danced, I slipped inside. Past a table piled with gifts, I grabbed my bag, pulled out my laptop, and sat in a dim corner of the living room. Calmly, methodically, I logged into my accounts and started dismantling things. The shared account for Ethan's car payments, closed. The auto payments for Jennifer's tuition, canceled. Every subscription, from streaming services to their phone plans, I shut down one by one. I sent curt emails to their landlord, utility companies, and even the service delivering Jennifer's high-end cosmetics. All canceled. Then I pulled an envelope from my bag. Inside, I placed a printed spreadsheet I'd prepared weeks earlier, detailing every cent I'd given them over 5 years. At the bottom, in clean handwriting, I wrote, "This stops now. Dennis." I left it on the kitchen counter and walked out. The party roared on. No one noticed I'd left. The next morning, my phone lit up. 47 notifications in minutes. Calls, texts from Ethan, Mom, Sarah, even Jennifer. I ignored them all, powered off my phone, and boarded my flight home. The voicemails started pouring in, increasingly hostile. Ethan's first message was calm, almost patronizing. "Hey, Dennis, saw your little note. Bit over the top, no? Could have just talked to me. Call back, all right?" 5 minutes later, Sarah's voice, trembling like she was on the verge of tears. "Dennis, why would you do this? Jennifer's devastated. Do you know what this does to her emotionally? We trusted you. You were family." By midday, the tone shifted. Ethan again shouting, "You think you can just bail after everything we've built? Jennifer's school starts in 2 weeks, Dennis. 2 weeks, and you choose now to lose it?" The messages kept coming, less like family, more like panicked clients begging a lender not to pull out. But I was done. I turned off my phone, got a new work-only number, and told HR I needed a mental health break. They didn't question it. I hadn't taken a vacation in 4 years. For the first time in ages, I wasn't obsessively checking my bank balance, skipping doctor visits, or canceling trips to cover someone else's mess. I wasn't ensuring Jennifer got a new phone every year or propping up Ethan's delusion that his photography side hustle was a real business. The calm was fleeting. 2 days later, Mom called. I didn't pick up but listened to her voicemail. "Dennis, honey, I think there's been a mix-up. Your brother's stressed. Jennifer's at a fragile age. Let's sit down as a family and sort this out. Don't punish everyone for one comment. You're above that." That phrase, "you're above that," stuck with me. Not because it was true, but because I realized what she meant. I was supposed to be the one who never pushed back, who kept giving even when it drained me, who stayed silent. She didn't ask how I was. Not once. A week passed, then 2. Overdue notices in Ethan's name piled up in my inbox. The bank flagged the lease I'd co-signed as unpaid. Jennifer's school sent polite reminders about her tuition. I ignored them all. They'd sort it out, or they wouldn't. It wasn't my burden anymore. Then came the email that shifted everything from background noise to a quiet rage, from Jennifer's subject. Really, wow. No greeting, no punctuation, just, "You said you'd always be there." Guess that was a lie. Don't worry, we'll manage since you think you're above us. I blocked her. I stared at the screen, not hurt, but stunned by the raw entitlement. No remorse, just a teenager's venom, typed on a phone I'd paid for, in a house I'd helped keep afloat after a party I never agreed to fund. I almost laughed. Instead, I opened an old shared cloud folder I'd set up for family photos and files. I changed the password and recovery email, but left one file, a scanned PDF titled, "You're Welcome." Inside, every receipt from 6 years, $119,000 in rent, bills, tuition, gifts, emergency loans. At the bottom, in bold, "A one-man bank only stays open when it's valued." No one responded, but I knew they saw it. Days later, someone knocked on my apartment door. I hadn't shared my address, but Ethan likely got it from a cousin who'd visited once. I didn't open it, just watched through the peephole as he stood there holding a crumpled envelope. He didn't knock again, just left it on the floor and walked away. I waited, then picked it up. Inside, a scrawled note, angry and rushed. "Don't forget who raised you. Don't forget who was there before your cash. You don't walk away from family. You'll come back. You always do." No signature, just those words. That night, I changed my locks, packed a small bag, and scheduled a meeting with a lawyer to sever any remaining ties. But things escalated when I got a call, not from Ethan or Mom, but from Jennifer's school. Not about tuition, but to inform me she'd been withdrawn. The payments hadn't just stopped, they'd bounced. Hours later, another call from an unfamiliar number. "Dennis," a shaky voice said, "this is Principal Hayward. Jennifer listed you as her emergency contact. We can't reach her parents." My coffee sat cold on the counter as my pulse quickened. Not from fear, but from something heavier I couldn't name. "I'm listening," I said. A long pause followed. "I don't usually call like this," she said, "but Jennifer had an incident. Not dangerous, but serious." I stayed silent, knowing she'd continue. "She had a breakdown in the counselor's office, crying, pacing, tearing up her sketchbooks, saying it's all pointless without school. She kept saying you left her, that you're punishing her." A hollow ache settled in my chest. Not guilt, but a faint sadness. I'd always wondered if Jennifer was more than just entitled. Maybe deep down, she was a scared kid clinging to the only steady figure she had, me. "She's with her mom now," the principal added. "But she asked for you. I think hearing from you would help." I thanked her, hung up, and stared at my phone like it was a live wire. That night, in my quiet one-bedroom apartment, I pulled out old journals from 2019. Inside were plans I'd abandoned, savings goals, investment ideas, dreams of financial freedom. At the bottom of one page, I'd written after Ethan asked for a $12,500 loan for a candle subscription business. "Don't drain yourself to patch someone else's leaks." I'd spent years trying to save a family that wasn't drowning. They were just comfortable letting me carry them. What began as generosity became an obligation they expected, like I was their personal ATM. When I stopped, they didn't reflect. They raged, as if I'd broken a machine they relied on. But Jennifer wasn't Ethan. That's what made it complicated, that small thread I couldn't quite cut. The next morning, I called her. She didn't answer at first, and I was relieved. But she called back 5 minutes later, her voice soft, not biting. "Uncle Dennis?" I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. "Hey, kid." "Why'd you stop talking to us?" she asked after a pause. I could have lied. Blamed work, but I didn't. "They treated me like a cash machine," I said. Her breath hitched. I added, "Not you, not always. You just grew up in it." Silence, heavy with meaning. "I didn't mean what I said at the party," she whispered. "About you only being there for money. I thought it'd be funny." Dad laughed. "So I thought you would too." I said softly, "Jennifer, you don't need to be cruel to feel big." More silence, then a small crack in her voice. "I'm scared," she said. "Everything's falling apart. Dad's always angry. Mom cries in the car. They said we might lose the house. They blame you." Of course they did. That's what people like Ethan do, turn boundaries into betrayal, play the victim when they're the ones who broke things. "No," I said. "I didn't leave because I stopped caring. I left because I started caring about myself." I heard her stifle a sob. "I miss you," she whispered. I closed my eyes. "I know," I said. After the call, I didn't cry or feel triumphant. I just sat, letting it sink in. Days later, Ethan called. Not angry this time, but pleading. He wanted to meet, mentioned the envelope sounded drained. I agreed, but only somewhere neutral. No family, no houses, just us. 2 days later, I walked into a cafe and froze. Ethan looked different, older, gaunt, like someone who'd felt the weight of consequences. He didn't greet me, just slid a folder across the table. I opened it and stopped breathing. A legal notice from debt collectors. $97,000, with my name still listed as co-signer, liable. "You didn't remove me," I said, voice flat. "You promised you would." Ethan fidgeted, eyes bloodshot, hands unsteady. "I meant to," he mumbled. "We thought you'd come back." The words hung there, heavy with his delusion. "You thought I'd come back," I repeated. "So you left me tied to your debt, hoping I'd cave?" He nodded weakly. "I didn't think it'd get this bad." "No," I said. "You just didn't care if it did." I leaned back, arms crossed, letting the silence press on him. I wanted him to feel the gap between us, not just my anger, but my clarity. He broke first. "I know we screwed up," he said, voice low. "Jennifer's struggling. Sarah might leave. The collectors won't stop. And now Jennifer's out of school. She was never my responsibility," I cut in. "You made her mine because it was easier than parenting." He flinched, but I pressed on. "You lived off my money and called it family. You let your daughter humiliate me and you laughed. I wasn't your brother. I was your ATM." "I didn't know you hated us this much," he said quietly. "I don't," I said. "If I did, I wouldn't have helped at all. But love without boundaries just hurts you." He went silent, then tried one last, desperate play. "You could fix this," he said. "Call the collectors, pay the minimum, give us time. You know how to handle money. You care about Jennifer." My jaw tightened. I reached into my bag, pulled out a thin folder, and slid it across the table. "What's this?" he asked. "My lawyer's contact," I said. "And a notice that I'm legally cutting all ties to your accounts. Plus, a list of what you owe me with interest." Ethan stared at the folder like it was his undoing. "You're serious," he whispered. "I am," I said, standing. "You're trying to guilt me into saving you. But I didn't make this mess. I just paid for it." He didn't speak, didn't follow me. He just sat staring at the folder. It took 3 months of legal wrangling, bank forms, and a signed affidavit. But I got my name off the loan. It cost more than I liked, but the peace was worth it. I filed a claim for what they owed me, knowing I'd never see most of it. The principle mattered more than the money. During that time, Jennifer emailed me from a new school account. A public arts program, less prestigious but solid. Subject: "I'm sorry." Her message was brief, sincere. "I didn't understand what you did for us until it was gone. I hope I can make you proud someday. Thank you for more than I deserved." I cried for the first time in years, not from guilt, but because it meant something. Maybe not to the adults, but to her, someone who could still grow. I replied, "You're already on your way. Keep going." Mom left 2 voicemails in December wanting to reconnect for Christmas. I didn't call back. I sent a plain card with one line. Sometimes, distance is the best gift. She never reached out again. Months later, a courthouse notice arrived. Ethan filed for bankruptcy. They lost the house. I didn't gloat or feel vindicated. I just filed the paper in a folder labeled closure. As for me, I moved forward. I got a better job, found a small circle of people who didn't need my money to care. I started traveling, Paris, Kyoto, Vancouver, for myself. I launched a blog about financial independence and escaping toxic family dynamics. My first post went viral, with thousands commenting, "I thought I was alone. Thank you for showing me it's okay to walk away." I wonder if Ethan saw it. Part of me hopes he did. My revenge wasn't loud or cruel. It was quiet, simple. I stopped letting people treat my peace like loose change. And that, finally, was enough. So, what are your thoughts on this story? Do you agree with what happened, or do you see it differently? Let us know your opinion in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming stories. See you in the next one!